Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. Today I'm back at Yoakum Toyota and this is the 2023 Toyota BZ4X, a ZEV, if you will. It is a zero emissions vehicle. That's what it's actually known as. So we're going to take a look at this today and I'm going to show you what you get for a sticker price of $52,831. These models do come available in front wheel drive or all wheel drive. And honestly, all-wheel drive is going to be the most fun. It's going to give you the best acceleration. And I know for most people that probably isn't that big of a deal. But for the sake of the test drive today, that will definitely make for the most enjoyable experience. We're going to do a 0 to 60 test and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to dig into exactly what this is. And if it's something you want to buy, what you can expect. One of the biggest challenges facing any EV is going to be aerodynamics. To have the aerodynamics of a brick would be a bad idea because obviously you're going to run through charge capacity a lot quicker. Just from the looks of the exterior of this model, the BZ4X, it really looks like it will cheat the wind quite nicely. In fact, we can start right here on the front end with the nice large air curtains you can see. I mean, I can fit my hand in there. There's not too many vehicles I can do that with. We'll run around to this side and show you where the air flows out. So quite a bit going on there. The overall lines look very nice and racy, which is very important, like I say, in any case with a vehicle like this, from front to back. And then ultimately, you're gonna have the air flowing across the front end here. That's meant to go through the air curtain right there and around on the fenders. We also have the LED daytime running lights. That thing that's blinking right there is called a blinker or a turn signal. It lets people around you know what you're doing when you're driving down the road. And the LED headlights as well. So a very nice look. And in this particular case, with this particular exterior color, I'd say that with the gloss look here on the fender flares and other areas of the vehicle, it really does look nice. In fact, we even have a little bit more of that gloss black on the hood right here. It just kind of sets things apart. Instead of just being one solid color, we're also going to have the same thing right here between the hood and the front end. The Toyota crown right here in the center looking very nice. Would it have been nice to have seen Toyota extend some kind of maybe the LED daytime running lights all the way across the front end? Well, I would think so, but not a big deal. In all honesty, that does cut down on price a little bit, at least. I don't know how much that would really matter in that respect, but if you like your gloss black, you're gonna have the gloss black mirror caps here. Nice wide mirrors as far as your side view mirrors go. Your blind spot monitoring right here. And we're also going to have the panoramic sunroof, as you can see, kind of a split sunroof look right there, but I do like that. And something that I thought was interesting, I know this may not mean a lot to most people, is that you don't have two different shades for those two different pieces of glass right there. It's all one piece, and so it all goes from front to back. I'll see if I can remember to show you that shade later on in the video. And as we work our way around, body color on the door handles, we're gonna have the nice chrome trim around the top of the windows, a little more gloss black to finish things off in a couple of different areas. Then we're gonna have the roof rails up here, the body color shark fin antenna. And I like how everything flows. Again, this is not just for looks. It's intentional, it's aerodynamic. If I had a wind tunnel, I could show you the stream going over and show you how well that all works. Unfortunately, I don't have a wind tunnel handy at the moment, but the rear roof spoiler is actually bigger than what you'll have on just about any other vehicle on the road that is not EV or ZEV. And then the nice slope on the rear window works its way down to the rear spoiler that, again, not only looks sporty, but also is functional. And the very nice look on the taillights, BZ4X logo right there. And this is the limited trim level. I know a lot of you like for me to do the lower trim levels on these vehicles. This is the only one that was available here at Yoakum Toyota. So obviously, it's the only one I could show you. Power comes from the lithium-ion battery pack, and depending on if you go with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, horsepower numbers are going to vary just a tiny bit. Front-wheel drive is 201 horsepower. All-wheel drive, such as what we have here, is going to be 214 horsepower. And let's talk about tire and wheel size real quick on this all-wheel drive model. 235 is the width, and a 50 series sidewall wrapped around a 20-inch wheel. And here's the advantage of that 50 series sidewall, is that it has more size to it. That means more flexibility. That means it's going to help improve ride quality, as opposed to the low profile tire, which may look better, it may look more sporty, but it also makes for a more rigid ride. And here's where you're going to plug in. Very easy to do. We're just going to pull on that latch. I say it's easy to do, and yet I can't get it to open. That's my fault, but there we go. Get my finger out of the way and we'll be okay. So you have a couple of different options depending on what you choose to do. So you can charge these at home. You can also use a fast DC charger, all that kind of stuff, or the superchargers, I should say. But speaking of charge capacity, when you are driving down the road, what kind of MPGs can you expect? I don't know how well you can see this on the screen, but here's what we have. 112 city, 92 highway, 33 kilowatt hours per every, kilowatt hours per every 100 miles driven, if we can get that right. 102 miles combined. Now, why are the numbers kind of flip-flopped here from what you might normally see on a gas-burning vehicle? Because you're going to use more charge capacity when you're out on the road compared to what you would use when you're driving in the city. So that's why the MPGs are going to be different. And I did want to show you something that personally I thought was rather interesting here in Northwest Louisiana. Well, it's probably not going to matter a whole lot because you really wouldn't have a choice. And I know this is the case in a lot of places, but let's let everything come up. So you're going to notice right here, 228 miles is the range that we have remaining. But if you turn on the air conditioning, guess what? It goes down. That shows you how much of a difference there is. It goes down to 182 right there. If we turn everything back off, it goes back up to 228 miles for the range. Just something to consider as to ways you can save the charge capacity if you need to. If you live in a place where you don't have to have your air conditioning running during the summer, well, guess what? You're already ahead. On the limited trim level, you will have the advantage of a hands-free tailgate or liftgate, depending on what you want to call that. And what about cargo capacity? 27.7 cubic feet is what we're looking at. So this isn't a full-size SUV, obviously, so you probably wouldn't expect a lot in that area. But you know, you can maximize this. We can lower both seats down of these 60-40 split rear seats to get quite a bit of cargo capacity. And this model does come with a level 1 or a 120 volt charging cable, so that's going to be helpful to you to be able to charge up at home. And you obviously can buy chargers and have them installed in your house and all that good stuff. So depending on what you want, well, you can spend what you want. Here is the control for your child safety locks. When it's in that down position, the child safety lock is active on this door. When it's in the up position, it's not active. And obviously the same on both doors. Give you a better look at that rear portion of the sunroof setup that this model has. We do have soft touch materials right here. If you push down on that with your finger, this is probably not the best test to use. It feels like a well done steak. But if you put your arm up there, it actually feels rather comfortable. Now there's a lot of gloss black in the interior, just like we saw on the exterior of the vehicle. Not necessarily a bad thing unless you have kids and you're going to get fingerprints everywhere. Fold down armrest, that's more like a rare steak right there. Cup holders built in, space right here for, well, snacks, maybe stick the phones right there for the rear seat passengers, whatever the case is. And we're going to have additional storage space here with the rear seat pockets. And by the way, how about the door bin size? Actually fairly large. You really have room in there for 2 large bottles, so if somebody is really thirsty or they want to mix and match water and Gatorade or whatever, well, they can do that. And here on the rear of the center console, you're going to have not only the controls for the heated seats, USB connectivity, and 2 air conditioning vents. This does go back to the same thing I say a lot. These car manufacturers need to start putting in 3 USB ports because you have seating for 3 people back here. But you can buy an adapter that will obviously fix that problem, or your rear seat passengers can. And a quick look from the rear seat perspective of what it looks like to take a look out of that panoramic sunroof. One advantage to a ZEV, at least for the middle seat passenger in the rear seating area, is that they don't have a real large transmission tunnel to deal with protruding out of the floor, so they're going to be more comfortable. And taking a look in through the passenger side front door, we're going to have that same setup here with the armrest. Put your arm on there. I promise it is nice and comfortable. The poke test just doesn't seem to do it. But when you put your arm on there, it's comfortable. More of the gloss black. It does give it an elegant look. I'm not sure how well that holds up to fingerprints, but definitely does look nice, that's for sure. Gonna have kind of a similar door bend, but a little bit larger here on the front doors. Let's not get tongue twisted there compared to what we saw on the rear doors. Honestly, a little surprised though. We don't have a power seat here for the passenger. BZ4X on the floor mats right there. And something that is interesting here, it looks nice, I would say, but it's just different, and that's not always different. It's not always a bad thing. But the material we have right here on the dashboard is something that's very different, kind of reminiscent of carpet. But again, not necessarily a bad thing. And we'll take a closer look at everything we have here in just a minute when we hop into the driver's seat. Here is your wireless charging pad, and you're going to have a USB port right there. But you know, that's not all that you have. In fact, let's take a look. We'll open the door here so I can give you a better look. We have a nice large pass-through, a lot of functionality and potential options there for storage. 2 more USB ports right here and a 12-volt power outlet. So quite a bit going on where that is concerned. And then we're going to have our cup holders right here built in. And you know what? Since I have the remote right here, I'll show you what that looks like. You can see everything that you have there. Pretty simple to figure out what's going on there. So we'll just leave that down there. And the multitasking lid for the center console, because it's a nice comfortable armrest. And let's see if I can figure out how to open that up. Oh, let's see here. What do we have? Got some goodies that come with the vehicle that are going to be stored away there, but there is the space that you ultimately have within the center console area. And up here is where you're going to have the controls for your lights, for that shade, for your sunroof, for your panoramic sunroof. And what about the vanity mirrors? You do have the vanity mirror. Hi, everybody. There's the light up there. It's not part of the sun visor. And if the sun is an issue on the side of the vehicle, well, instead of pulling the entirety of the sun visor back, you have this little extension right here. But it does go back far enough to where that really shouldn't be an issue no matter what. Kind of a unique thing to have there, but there's nothing wrong with setting yourself apart. And taking a look in through the driver's side door, I probably don't need to say anything about what all you have right here. You pretty much know what that is. And then you can control or open and close the power rear door right here, as well as dropping this lever and controlling the position or determining the position or changing the position of the tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. And we'll hit the power button, start everything up. You have a 7-inch display for the instrument cluster, driver's information right here. You can see that. It's a very nice look, has a modern look to it. It's all digital, everything you expect. And then the 12.3, let's see if we can get to that. And let's see, we'll hit this. We do have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and all that good stuff here. So here's what we have. Navigation, and again, I'd have to subscribe it. I don't need to do that to set that up, but you can see what's there. You're gonna have everything for listening to the radio and the music you want to listen to. You can pair your phone, and all of the vehicle information is here as well. In fact, you can even have a charging schedule if you need that. There it is right there. It's going to tell you all that. Trip information. Quite a bit here. Some of this we can't necessarily go through because it's not all available to me, but either way, it's good to be able to show you at least what's here. Here are our settings. Quite a bit going on there. And then all the controls here for the air conditioning. I showed you a little bit of that earlier. You do have a heated steering wheel, so if you want to have that warm steering wheel, well, you can do that. And all of the controls for the vehicle here, power parking brake, all that good stuff, your shifter, everything is here as far as that goes. And I'll show you quickly what we have as far as the cameras go. Check that out. That is a very neat view. It is already looking around for you, showing your surroundings. There's your overhead view. I really like that. That's a nice live view, live and in motion. And you can even stop that if you need to. See how I did that right there? You have the pause button, or you can hit play, depending on what you want to do. We can go out of that. And here is the shifter. Let me show you how that works. If you just do this, it doesn't do anything. You have to actually put your foot on the brake and then push down. We can go into drive right there, or we can go into reverse and see the other views we have. There is your rear view camera, so you can see what all you have right there. You have your overhead 360-degree view. You can also zoom in if you need to, and all that good stuff. And here's the thing, if I open the driver's side door, it's still in reverse right there, but I have my foot on the brake. If I take my foot off the brake, it automatically goes back into park, just so you kind of know what's there. But a very interesting setup here. We can go into eco mode right there if we want to, and depending on what we want to do, obviously we have multiple different settings here. Let's see if I can show you what all we have here as far as what's available. So ultimately, that's what you really have. Pretty simple to figure out, but the thing I'm really curious about is what is it like to drive this BZ4X out on the road? Let's get out on the road for our test drive, and we're going to find out. And by the way, I said I was going to show you this shade in action. Well, there you go. I told you that it's not two different shades, even though you would think it would be based on the way a lot of vehicles are built. Well, now you know what this one has. Okay, getting out on the road, then one of the first things you may notice is that, well, if you listen, it sounds like there's a lot of road noise. I'm not on a rough road or anything like that, but keep in mind, number one, it's a ZEV. It's going to be really quiet. You don't have an engine to listen to. The air conditioner is actually off right now. I don't have anyone to talk to. The radio's not on, so take that into consideration in case you happen to notice that. But one thing I like here is that it's a very nimble vehicle. It handles extremely well. Being all-wheel drive is obviously going to make a big difference with that, but I know that even with front-wheel drive, it's going to handle well too. The ride quality is good. A lot of the time when you get a shorter wheelbase vehicle like this, and wheelbase is measured from the center of one tire to the center of the other, it's not overall length, in case you were curious about that. But I'll tell you what, the thing I notice here is that the ride quality is actually fairly good for what it is. It's not a Cadillac, but it still rides extremely well, in my personal opinion. And the interior itself is comfortable. It's a very nice vehicle to drive. The handling is good. You have the leather-wrapped heated steering wheel. We showed you that earlier in the video, how to turn that on and off if you want to use that particular functionality. And I don't know if it's going to work out up here, but we'll try to make our legal U-turn right here and show you what the turning radius is like, which is obviously going to be really good. I don't know what else you could expect here, but we're going to have to wait just a second here. I could probably get out ahead of this vehicle that's coming in our direction, but you know what? I'm not going to take that chance. And here comes another one. We're going to do it this time because I don't have time to wait. So let's hit the pedal. Surprisingly, it has a pretty decent amount of power, a decent amount of acceleration. You can see that I'm catching up to this SUV on my left right here. And that is what you get with the 2023 Toyota BZ4X Limited for a sticker price of $52,831. Tell me what you think down in the comments section. If you plan to buy one of these models from Toyota for 2023, tell me how you plan to spec it out. What trim level, exterior color, all that kind of stuff. I'm always curious to hear about that or read about it in this particular case. Tell me what your thoughts are. Gotta say a special thanks to my friends here at Yoakum Toyota for loaning me this BZ4X for the day. And a special thanks to all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.